Hello, it's good to see you. Today we are back for a little bit of hypothetical neighborhood gossip, alleged hypothetical. It really bothers people. Some people, if I use the word hypothetical incorrectly or alleged. So hypothetically, allegedly, perhaps I hypothetically, allegedly might be using those words in this video. So if it does bother you, then hypothetically, allegedly, this may not be the video for you because it's kind of nitpicky. So things in my neighborhood were pretty quiet for a little while. It's been kind of quiet. It almost seems like it ebbs and flows. Like it just kind of goes in cycles. Like it would be quiet and then it picks back up. Where should I start? I should start with the news I hypothetically got today. Allegedly, theoretically. Yes, I got some news today and I got it just this afternoon. But let me back up. I have to start at the beginning. Okay. I live in a part of Greensboro. It's like its own little village area. And the homeowners association decided they were going to do a little contest. And I've lived here now for 5 years and I've never seen this before. And from talking to some of the other people who have lived here longer than I have, they've never heard of this. I think it must have been something one of the new board members put forth. They thought a good way to bring the community together and have people, get out and talking to one another. One good thing would be to have a contest. I don't think they really thought it through though, because, and this another thing I haven't told you, I'm going to try to get on the board of the HOA board the next time they have an election. I'm going for it for several reasons. And I'll hypothetically get into those reasons too. So I'm not on the board right now, but I'm thinking about running for it next time. I don't know when the elections are coming back around. It may be next spring. I think they do it once a year. Anyway, I might try for it because there are problems that are theoretically being actively ignored around here. Okay, they decided to have a contest. And the contest is a best front yard. Okay, there were different things that were being judged. Best front yard, prettiest flowers, and there was another one like best landscaping or something, or best use of, area, or, the most unique landscaping, something. I can't remember how it's worded. It was something like that. And this was announced a couple of months ago that they were going to do this. They put out flyers all around to let everyone know that this was going on and that the judging would happen this week, like the last week of June. That the board was going to go around and look and choose winners, but they were also going to consider votes from residents in the community. So you could vote if you wanted to vote for certain people. You could vote for them, and they would certainly take that into consideration when making their selections. I don't know how much consideration, but they said they were going to consider it. Anyway, I was aware of it. I was not actively trying to win. Like, that's cool, whatever. I have done some work on my front yard, but not because of the contest. Because the first prize is like a $20 gift card to some restaurant I don't even care about. So it's like I'm not even. I think they kept the prize small, so it wasn't like a huge deal. It was just something for the fun of it, It's just some little thing like, I don't care. Let somebody else have it. There are tons of people in the area. The area encompasses a lot of houses, so it's whatever. Hypothetically, well. Some people took it very seriously to the point where, okay, it's a good thing a lot of people have cameras around their house. I'll just put it that way. It got dirty. Hypothetically, allegedly, theoretically, it got nasty. And I don't think it had the consequence that they were quite looking for. They were looking to bring the community together, get us out, get us talking to one another, admiring one another's yard, or I don't know. No, they didn't account for all of the cutthroat competition, the competitiveness that it awoke in these people. I mean, if you think about it, for the average suburbanite, life is kind of boring. It's kind of not eventful. The most they have to focus on is, their yard and whatever's on TV that night. And that's basically it. They don't really have a life. I'm part of the group, okay? I'm calling myself out here. There's not much excitement. So when this contest came about, not everybody, but hypothetically, some people around here went a little bit bananas, okay? And I'm not naming names, I'm not pointing anybody out, but some people around here were a little crazy. So, like I said, I planted some flowers, but that was something I had planned to do anyway. I finally got my pink dogwood in the front yard when I was a kid. And if you follow my vlog, you've heard me talk about this at length, and I do apologize. I grew up in a very rundown, old, ratty-looking single-wide trailer that other kids laughed at and made fun of me for, and I was very ashamed. I was very embarrassed. And I always said when I was growing up that I would have a house that I was not ashamed of, that I would be proud for anyone to see. And I also wanted a pink dogwood in my front yard. I said, it doesn't have to be a big fancy house. I just want a house that I'm not ashamed of. And I want a pink dogwood tree in the front yard. Well, I have my pink dogwood tree. I got it last fall, and it even had a few little pink dogwood blooms on it this spring. It's still small, but I know it's grown a bit. It's about 8 feet tall now. It's getting bigger. It's growing fast. So, but what I plan to do, and this had nothing to do with the contest, but I wanted to put a little border around it with the little brick, put a little brick border around it. It's really cute. And it has like little scalloped edges to it, and it goes all the way around. And I filled it in with soil, and I planted some pretty little flowers in there. I put some pale orange flowers and white flowers in there, kind of alternating them, and it looks so pretty. I love it. I just think it looks so good. And I planted completely different stuff around my mailbox this spring, and it is beautiful. It has filled in nicely. I have some other flowers up near the front door, but it wasn't because of the contest. This was stuff I just did because I wanted to. Well, somebody over here, okay, so Joe, that's not his real name, and Itchy and Scratchy, that's also not their real names, live over here. Well, if you're not familiar with my neighborhood gossip, it may or may not be true. We don't know. We'll never know. So, Joe over here, several years ago, won the lottery. I don't know how much he won. He's always bragging about how much money he has, but he'll never say how much he won. Like, he won't say. It's really weird. He'll talk about everything else at great length, but he won't talk about how much money he won. But he bought this house from his nephew and moved in. And it's like a throuple, basically. He lives over there with these two younger women. Actually, it's Scratchy 2.0, because the original Scratchy now lives literally right here, hypothetically, like in the house right across the street from me. So it has been weird. They seem to avoid one another, which is weird. Like, why would you move in right here? I think she's renting the house. Why would you move in like diagonal from them? I mean, it sounded like a really bad bust up when she moved out. It was really loud, and like there was stuff thrown in the street, and there were things broken in the driveway. So like, why do you now live, of all the places you could move to, why would you move in right there? I haven't asked because it's really none of my business, but I am very curious. I mean, you could say I'm nosy. I like to say that I am not nosy. I'm just observant. Yeah, I'm not nosy, I'm just observant. So things have been very chilly between them. They kind of avoid each other. Like if she's outside for any reason, they won't go out. And if they're outside, if she sees them, she'll just go back inside, They don't really talk to each other very much. But they apparently decided that I was like a common enemy. So I guess in a way, if it gets them talking again, I guess that's good to, bury the hatchet or deal with old wounds or whatever. They decided that I was a common enemy, hypothetically. Now there's a new Scratchy. There's Scratchy 2.0, who looks like she might be about 20. I don't really know anything about her hypothetically other than she's a yoga instructor, and she also works doing massage. I don't know what kind of massage. I didn't ask. Ain't none of my business. I don't care anyway. Whatever you want to do, honey. So she does that. I don't think Itchy works anywhere. I don't think she does. I think she's pretty much always there, and Joe is always there. Well, one day I was outside, hypothetically mowing the front yard, and Joe comes out. He's standing out in his driveway, and he's just standing there, and he's just watching me. He's not saying anything. He's just watching me mow. And he's just like this, he's just watching every move I make. And it was starting to get uncomfortable. I had in my earbuds because I always listen to Metallica while I mow. And I was listening to the And Justice for All album. And I'm kind of zoning out. But every time I came this way, I could see him just kind of standing there. And there are trees in the edge of his yard, hypothetically. So really all I could see were his legs and his elbows. I could see him, that he was doing like this. I could see his legs. I'm looking. So finally I shut the mower off, and I walked over and I kind of looked under the trees like, Joe, are you okay? Are you cool? What's the matter? He said, oh, nothing. I was just noticing your grass looks really good. I said, thank you. He said, yeah, it looks too good, actually. It's interesting how you never seem to do anything to it, but it always looks so good. Even in a drought, it's dark green. So he just has this look on his face like he's waiting for me to spill the beans. Like, oh, you got me, Joe. I'm so sorry. And I said, yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. He said, yeah, it looks better than mine. I said, oh. And he's looking at his, he's looking at mine. He goes, in fact, yours looks so good that mine looks bad right next to it. Almost like you did it on purpose. So this ranks up. I've had a lot of conversations with him, hypothetically, and this ranks up there as one of the weirder, more awkward conversations. And we've had a lot of awkward conversations, okay? Hypothetically, we will not even get into him asking me about the best, how did he put it? Hypothetically, the best guy to do a boob job in the area. Who does the best boob jobs here? Like, why would I know that? Why are you asking me that? Joe, what? No. I said, I have no idea, Joe. I wouldn't know. I'm a paralegal. He said, oh, I know that. That doesn't have anything to do with why I'm asking you that. And he never would say why he was asking me that. Thinking, have you seen me in a jog bra, Joe? I have no knowledge of what you're asking me. None. So that was one of the weirder conversations, hypothetically. So he's eyeing my grass, and I just went back to mowing. Like, whatever is going on with you today, I don't have time for it. It's getting dark. I got to finish mowing. Get in the house. Whatever. So the next day, hypothetically, I see Joe and Scratchy 2.0 and Scratchy 1.0 standing in the middle of the street, hypothetically. Not right in front of my house, but almost. Like they're sort of in front of Joe's house, but right on the edge of my yard. And they're all looking at my grass. And Joe is like pointing at my grass and saying something to the Itchy and the Scratchy 1.0. And they're talking and they're looking and they're talking to one another and looking at my yard like that. And I was going to go out there and say something, but then they parted ways. Like Scratchy 1.0 went back over here and Joe and Itchy went back in the house. So it was weird. So I think it was later that week. See, I don't handle my grass. Like, I don't know how to do all the treatments and everything and the aeration and I'm pre-emergent, blah, 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 blah. I don't understand that kind of stuff. I pay a company that comes out to do it. I think I talked about that in a video a while back, that I had this one company coming out and they were doing a terrible job. So I got another company. This one is wonderful. They completely changed the types. I have a mix of grasses in my yard that's totally different from what I had before. And the way it is now, it stays green year round. My grass is dark green year round because it has a lot of ryegrass in it. It's this beautiful, it looks like carpet. It's like this lush green carpet. It's beautiful. I love it. So I pay this company to keep it looking that way all year. I thought Joe knew that. I'm pretty sure he did because every time they come out to do a treatment, they leave a little sign. They put their little sign in the edge of the yard. And if I see it, I'll pull it up and throw it away, but sometimes it stays there for several days. And as observant as he is hypothetically, I know he has seen the truck come out here. I know he's seen them treating my grass. So he knows that I'm not the one doing it. So I don't know why he's acting like he doesn't know that. He has to know. He has to know. He knows. How can he not? He's like right there. So he's trying to make it sound like, because it did eventually come up. Just one day I was out there when I was doing the little garden thing. I've had one problem I've had, and it's happened a couple of times. I had poison oak grow up. It must have been in the, the stuff that the tree was growing in. There was poison oak in there. And I've had it come up twice, and I just put on a rubber glove, and I go out there like I'm collecting a sample of something with a Ziploc bag, and because you don't want to touch it, I pull it up with the rubber bag, carefully I pull it up with the rubber glove on, and I put it in the bag, and I take the rubber glove off inside out, drop it in the bag, seal it up, throw it away. I've had to do that twice. The second time I was out there doing it, Joe comes out there, and he goes, I know you don't know how to you don't know how to keep your grass like this. You don't do enough. You're not out here enough. And I'm like, can I just deal with my damn poison oak? What? I don't feel like dealing with you today. I said, well, I guess you got me there, Joe. Yeah, I'll just mow it and weed eat it. He goes, okay. And he went back in the house. What was that? I don't know. So I found out later I have a mole on the board of directors, hypothetically, who told me that Joe has told them, if you're considering her for this award, for any of these awards, you need to know that she does not treat her own grass. Like somehow that matters. Like, Joe, this is not the Pinewood Derby, the Boy Scouts where they have to make the Derby car. Like, it doesn't matter if you have it professionally made or not, it doesn't matter. It may not matter in a Pinewood Derby, I don't know. But I know years ago, and this is totally off subject, when my brother was in the Boy Scouts back in the 80s, and when they did the Pinewood Derby, you had to make the car yourself. You could not have someone else make it for you. If it was made by someone else, you were disqualified. So maybe Joe was thinking like that, like, well, if she's not treating her own grass, then she is disqualified and can't win any awards. But meanwhile, hypothetically, he had a landscaping company, come out on numerous occasions and completely redo the whole front of the house. Now, the back of the house is still a hot mess. There's all kind of lumber back there. There are old stuff that he's built, a bunch of random stuff. I've hypothetically talked about some of it, theoretically, that he's built. They had the dog boots, and they built all these little backdrops and props because they wanted to make Boots into this Instagram star or something. I don't think that ever panned out. They tried again briefly with a chicken. Did I tell you about the chicken? They had I believe it was an Araucana chicken, the ones that lay the colorful eggs, and they named it Peony, like the flower, theoretically. And Peony was, a pretty chicken, but somehow they found somebody who would do these extensions and attach them to the feathers on this bird. I don't even know that's it seems a little inhumane to me, but they would attach little decorative things to this bird, and they had a professional photographer take pictures of Peony to try to be some sort of something, and they would put it in tutus, which you can look up pictures of chickens in tutus. I bet at least one of them is Peony, hypothetically. They bought little tutus and outfits for this chicken. They had top hats for the chicken. I don't know what they spent. That didn't last as long as Boots. They were still trying to make Boots a thing not too long ago, but I haven't seen Boots in a while, so it's kind of weird. Itchy 1.0 or Scratchy 1.0 is here. she doesn't seem to have boots either. So I'm kind of wondering, I'm a little concerned about poor Boots. I hope Boots didn't get the boot because Boots was not popular enough to make them any money. I really hope not. You really shouldn't have a pet just to make money with it. That's terrible. Hypothetically. No, it's not hypothetical. It is terrible. Don't do that. Love your pet. It's not there to make you money. So, alright. I put this new texturizer in my hair and I did not do it correctly and it is making my hair section into chunks. Hypothetically, I'm not happy about it right now. But I'm too lazy to wash it at this point. Okay. They had a landscaping company come out and do all kinds of work, and I can only imagine what they paid because they did major work on the front of their house over the last, this was like a 6-week period. Not long after the announcement came out about the contest, they started having all this work done. Like, he would look at my yard and his yard, and mine is not some crazy, Better Homes and Gardens. It's not. It's really not. I would say, honestly though, I think it's the best looking yard on our street, I would say. But most people on the street just, they just do whatever. They're not really worried about it. They go to work, they come home, their yard looks good, but they're not out there all day tending it. And I don't have a problem with that at all. It's fine. So he had all this landscaping work done. He had a rock garden put in with a little waterfall. It had these little frogs, and he bragged about the frogs. Oh my God, hypothetically. I don't care if I never hear about frogs again. He bought these little ceramic frogs from Italy. He had them flown in from Italy. Like, you did not. You went to World Market and bought those things. They were not flown in from Italy just for you. I seriously doubt somebody chartered a plane to bring you frogs from Italy. But he's the type to kind of brag about everything. You know how they just kind of elevate the story somewhat. He had these frogs, and they're in numerous poses. There's a bunch of them, and the frogs are all doing different things. They're all, they each have some little pose going on. And there's one that's kind of bent over like this, like it's showing you its little frog booty. I mean, they're all doing these cute poses, and they're all around the rock garden and the little waterfall and everything. And he brags about his frogs and how much the frogs cost. But he's one of these people that will brag, but he will never tell you how much it is. He will just say, oh, you do not want to know what I paid for that. You would die if I told you what I paid for that. You wouldn't believe me if I told you what I paid for that. Like, I don't care. I wasn't going to ask. I've never been one to be impressed by that kind of stuff. Like, I just find it kind of off-putting, people who do that. Like, it doesn't impress me. I just find it kind of sad. Like, you're so desperate for approval that you have to constantly brag about stuff. I don't know. It just has nothing to do with what's going on. But anyway, so he had all this work done. He gussied up everything. He had his driveway resurfaced. It looks beautiful. Did all this work. Okay. And some of the other neighbors did too, and that was the funny thing, because some of them caught people messing with their yard. Hypothetically, somebody who looks a lot like somebody I know got caught in somebody's yard spraying Roundup in their yard, like with a pump sprayer. Caught him on the Ring doorbell. And somebody over here has a court date. And that's all I'm going to say about that, hypothetically, because they did serious damage to this person's flowers and the grass and everything in their front yard. I mean, I'm telling you, it was wicked, the stuff people were doing. People were getting in shouting matches over stuff. Like, somebody thought their patio umbrella got taken, and another person said that their flowers were dying, and it was their neighbor's fault. And the neighbor's like, I haven't even been home. And, they're just, it hasn't really done a lot to bring the neighborhood together, but it's definitely shown who is competitive and who's petty around here. I just kind of do my own thing. Like, I don't worry about other people so much. So anyway, I was going to tell you about the text I got today. So the votes were counted and the decisions were made. And Joe over here didn't win anything. Joe is pissed, hypothetically. he is angry, angry, angry. One person 2 houses up got there was the landscaping thing. They got that. Somebody else got best flowers. I got best front yard. I won first place. I got best front yard in the community. I wasn't even trying for it. I wasn't, and hypothetically, I don't quite get why I got it. I don't know, but I got a little sign. They made these little wooden signs for the winners that you can put in your yard. And I got my sign just right before I started this. I got the text earlier today, and they came and dropped off the sign just right before I started. And I got to put it out in my yard, and I heard them. Like, I had to look out the window because hypothetically I heard Joe and one of the assorted itchy scratchies and the one right across the street over here. They went out and they saw it, and they were having a very animated conversation and looking at the sign and looking at my house and looking at the sign and looking at the yard. So hypothetically, I'm probably going to hear an earful about it later. Well, what are they going to do? You know, I'm sorry your fancy frogs and all your landscaping didn't work. I think he tried a little too hard. I think he went a little overboard with it, and I think that's why he didn't win. He didn't even get the landscaping one. He didn't get anything. Hypothetically too, and the mole didn't fix it or anything, so I would win. This is not, from what I heard, it was votes from the community. It was people here voting that got it. So it's really awesome. But I did hear that he has made such a nuisance of himself with the HOA board that there was no way in hell they were going to let him win anything. Because he was so obnoxious. He bugged them so much about, well, this person's doing this, and because it wasn't just me, he was trying to rat people out. Like, well, this person puts Miracle Grow on their flowers, and this person, they have the landscapers come out and take care of their grass for them. They don't even mow their own yard. You know, like, he was so petty about it. I think that's why he didn't win. Plus, hypothetically, he is not the most popular person around here. I don't really see anybody voting for him if they know him, because he's kind of off-putting a little bit. He's very abrasive, and just in general, just kind of a crappy person, hypothetically. So I thought that was personally very cool. And I think back to myself as a kid and how proud I would be to know that I was going to grow up one day to have a house not only that I wasn't ashamed of, but a house that is considered to be a house with a yard that is considered to be very nice by everybody, and that just completely made my day. I tell you, I was not having a good day today, but to hear that was it was the best news. It was this total surprise. I was not expecting it. I knew they were going to finish taking up the votes and everything yesterday and make the decisions today. I knew it was going to be today because it's 1st of July. I had no idea I was even being considered for anything. I had no idea, because there are other houses that I think look better. But yeah, I got best front yard, so I got a $20 gift certificate to a restaurant that I hypothetically don't really care for. I'll probably end up giving it away. But you can't hear it. But that is Trip on his, it's not his Wingwing bike. Trip hypothetically got rid of his Wingwing bike and the Vroom bike that he could not get started for the longest time, and he would hit it with a wrench and scream and have a tantrum out in the yard. And yeah, I think he finally got rid of it. He has a new bike, and he actually rides this one. That's him. This bike seems to have more power than the other one. The Vroom bike wouldn't even run, really. The Wingwing bike was, you start it and it goes wing, 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 wing. It's one of those little crotch rocket bikes, This one is a little different. But he still, hypothetically, will sit on it in his yard and take his picture. This guy is he's getting a little too old to continue doing that. And he puts the pictures on Instagram, and like, dude, you're really, And I'm not one to put age limits on things, but it's getting kind of embarrassing. You know, it's like, man, no, just stop it. But he does this weird thing, hypothetically. He'll get on his bike, take it around the block, and put it away. And then he'll come out again later, like a half hour later, and do it again. I am almost thinking he's like picking up or dropping off drugs or something. Like, dude, he'll only be gone for a couple of minutes and come back and park the bike and go back in. And then a half hour later, he'll do it again. And then he'll do it 10, 15 times in the evening, which makes me think he hypothetically is doing something. He's dropping off something, picking up something. I'm not really sure. Hypothetically, it's really none of my business. But as I say, I'm not nosy. I'm just observant. You can borrow that. If people call you nosy, tell them I'm not nosy. I'm just observant. It's very important to be aware of your surroundings, to know what's going on. Nothing wrong with that. That is not nosy. I am not being nosy. I am thinking about running for the HOA board whenever elections come back around, and I'm not quite sure when that is, for a couple of reasons. They did vote hypothetically to build a little dog park, like a little place for people to take their dogs. You know, you can, it's like this big fenced in area where you can take them off the leash and they can run, you know, but it has, you know, they're going to have rules and stuff. You know, you can't, you know, if there's any fighting, you have to break it up. You can't do this, can't do that. I don't know. I don't have dogs. I don't know what the rules would be, but one of the rules is going to be you can only take dogs to the dog park, which kind of makes sense to me. It's a dog park. If you have a pet alligator, you might not want to take it to the dog park. One of the neighbors, hypothetically, has already posed an objection to the dog park, and it's not even built yet. She's mad because of the thing that says you can only take dogs. This lady has a pet parakeet named Gordy. Hypothetically, she keeps coming to the HOA board meetings and complaining that Gordy is not allowed at the dog park because Gordy is a parakeet. Well, she wants to be able to let Gordy fly around in the dog park. And the argument that the board has makes sense. Well, you know, you could do that literally anywhere. You could go to a park. It's not like anything. I mean, if you take it to the dog park, a dog could easily just jump up and eat it, thinking it's like a tennis ball or something. It'll jump up and grab it. Ooh, flying tennis ball. It's yellow. It's a yellow parakeet. I know, because hypothetically this woman is always wearing, she has a multitude of shirts with Gordy's picture like airbrushed on the front of it, like a giant picture of Gordy's head. And so it's like a portrait of Gordy, you know, and he's in different poses. You know, he has these different poses, and she has all these shirts with Gordy on them. And Gordy's name is right under it in glitter, Gordy. She is in love with this bird, okay? She even hypothetically took him to a couple of the board meetings, but they had to tell her to take Gordy home because Gordy kept just shitting on things and they were getting tired of it. She always has bird crap all over her shoulder. She doesn't care, you know, and it just craps. You know, how they do. They just crap wherever. And she got mad because she wasn't allowed to bring Gordy to the meetings anymore, hypothetically. So she is hinting around at getting a lawyer and filing a lawsuit against the HOA for some sort of discrimination because they are not allowing her to bring Gordy to the board meetings, and Gordy is will not be allowed in the dog park when it's built. Hypothetically. Well, you know, I don't know. She has put up flyers all over like at stop signs, telephone poles, pictures of Gordy, and her whole complaint is like written out. You can't read it from the road. It's in 12-point font, and it's her whole argument about why Gordy should be allowed there. And there's something else about it. Hypothetically, I forgot. There was another problem with her. But the dog park hasn't been built yet. And they've told her, you know, you can take Gordy anywhere. You don't have, you know, you can take him out to an open field and let him fly around. And he'll come back to you, I guess. You know, why do you have to go to the dog park? And she's just mad and has hinted around that she's going to sue. So I don't know. I mean, I guess since I've never been on an HOA board, I don't know all the ins and outs of it. But as I get older, I've just become very blunt. And I would just have to tell her, lady, it's a bird. Okay, it's a bird. Take your bird somewhere else. She calls it her emotional support bird. And she, apparently, hypothetically, you can get these certifications to make any animal an emotional support animal. It doesn't even matter what it is. And she has certification. She has papers on this bird saying it's her emotional support animal, and they don't have the right to kick her out with the bird. Like, they have to allow the bird in these meetings. And it's just become a whole thing, and that they have to make accommodations, which means if the bird poops on anything, they have to clean it up, because it's part of the accommodations of allowing the emotional support parakeet, hypothetically. But as I said, I've gotten older and I have just become very blunt. And I think I would just have to say, lady, take your bird and get out of here. It's not ever going to happen. And if you want to sue, then sue, hypothetically. If that's what you think you need to do, then do it. As the old saying goes, shit or get off the pot. Go ahead and do it. Don't just hint around at it, just do it. Go for it, hypothetically. So that was one reason why I was kind of thinking about it, but it wasn't the main reason. Theoretically, I've mentioned before, I think it was last summer, I had a little skirmish with my neighbors on the other side of the fence over here. Hypothetically, these neighbors, see, our neighborhood is a grid, and they are on the street above, north of mine, and their backyard butts up to my backyard, and we have a fence back there like this. So their backyard is here, mine is here. Well, they were growing these weird pepper looking things in these giant containers, and they had them pushed right up against the fence so that these plants were flopping over into my yard, like just flopped way over, like hanging down into my yard, like all the way up the fence. They had about 15 containers lined up against the fence and all these things, and it was dropping these weird little pepper things all over my yard. And they would take them over, they would pull them over to their side, pick the little peppers off, flop them back over on my side, and I asked them, can you please back these up so they're not in my yard anymore? And they just, no. They did briefly pull them back, but then they pushed them back so that they were back over the fence about a week later, hypothetically. So I went out there and just started cutting everything that was on my side of the fence, and it was a whole kerfuffle. Well, they have not done that this year, but what they did do, theoretically, you will not believe what they did. I wish I could show you, but I have video, but I'm not going to show it because I don't want to impugn anyone, hypothetically. They went down to the creek. There's a creek not far from here. Dug up wheelbarrows full of creek dirt, hypothetically. Dumped it up against the fence. Put boards up against the fence so the dirt would stay on their side. Piled it up 18 inches high, all the way across the fence. So now the level is here. Their yard is way up here. And so now no water can drain off my property, hypothetically. I brought this up to the neighbor. I said, you cannot have dirt piled up on the fence like that. And they said, yes, we can. It's our yard. We'll do what we want. I said, my yard can no longer drain. You have blocked, there's a drainage ditch, a drain right there. You've completely blocked the drain. Every time it rains now, my yard turns into a lake. You have to get the dirt off the fence. Plus, it's slowly pushing the fence like this. You cannot do that. And they just said, well, yes, we can. Yes, we can. So I went to the HOA director, hypothetically, and explained the situation. She went out and looked at it and said, I don't see the problem. I don't see what you're complaining about. So I had her hypothetically come to my backyard. I said, come over to my side and look at what I'm talking about. I'll show you. And she said, yeah, I still don't see the problem. I don't understand what you're complaining about. She didn't want to get involved. That was basically it, hypothetically. She did not want to get involved. And from what I've heard, she's like that with everybody. You can have any complaint And she just, the most she will do for you is say, well, if you don't like it, hire an attorney. I can't do anything about it. Sorry. Even hypothetically, the lady up here who spray painted her house green and red, she said that she was going to have a word with her. The HOA director was going to have a talk with her. It's still hypothetically spray painted green and red all the way around. It's July now, and it's not going to change. She also spray painted over her windows. She did like hypothetically a big Joker face in each window with like purple, black, green, and red and white spray paint. Like spray painted a very crude Joker face on each window. And the HOA director, numerous people have complained about that. I know the next door neighbor that lives right next to her, they've complained numerous times. Hypothetically, they're trying to sell their house, and they're worried that it's going to affect this, even in this market. Like, who wants to live next to the Joker house? Who, as soon as you pull up to look at the house, that's the first thing you see. Like, what is going on with that? And she doesn't mow her yard, so it looks like a jungle. It looks like nobody lives there, hypothetically. And the HOA director has said, I'm going to talk to her. I'm going to let her know that she needs to fix that. I gave her 30 days. Well, that was like 5 months ago. Well, the 30 days passed and nothing happened. So I figure, okay, hypothetically, I'll tell you what I did. I talked to an attorney that I know here and just explained the situation. What can I do, hypothetically? And the attorney said, well, you have what you can do on paper, and then you can have what you can do in the real world. I'll explain. On paper, you could absolutely take these people to court and spend thousands of dollars to get them to remove the dirt from the fence, which a judge can just throw out because it may be considered frivolous. You could do that. You have every right to do that. You could contact the EPA. You could try talking to the HOA director again. There are a lot of things you could do on paper. But in the real world, will any of those things really help you? Probably not. You could pay me a lot of money. I'll take her to court. We may win, we may not. There's a good chance we won't. I'll just tell you. The best thing you can do, and this is all hypothetical, alleged, get on the HOA board. Because if you're on the HOA board, you have a lot of say-so about that director's job. And she might take you a little bit more seriously if you're on the board. She may actually listen to you, and she may come out and see the whole situation totally differently. Hypothetically. So, guess who's running for the HOA board? Because I'm more concerned with real-world solutions rather than on-paper solutions. So, hypothetically, that's the plan at this point because nothing else has worked. And they've made it very clear they have no intention of removing that dirt. There's no reason for it to be there. They're doing it, I think, just to bother me because they had to move their plants and they're mad about it. So hypothetically, it got really crazy around here, and a lot of people have footage of people messing with their yards, trying to sabotage them so they wouldn't win. Nobody messed with mine, which is cool, but at least I was able to bring together Scratchy 1.0 and Joe, Itchy, and Scratchy 2.0 because it seems like they get along better now. I'm still not quite sure why she decided to move in right there. I would think if I broke up with someone or I had a falling out, I would not want to live basically right next to them. I think I'd find somewhere else to move to, but I don't really understand all the ins and outs of that whole dynamic here, so I try to stay out of that. So that has been a fun little romp of an adventure in my neighborhood. The dudes in trucks. The dudes in trucks were really active for a few weeks back in the spot where they started. They had the hole dug again, standing around out there, trucks parked all on both sides of the road, dudes in trucks. But then they were repaving the section of road And the entire time the paving was going on, the dudes and trucks went away. The hole got filled in. It was like nothing happened. But then the whole area got fenced off. So, and the fence has this netting, so you can't see what's behind the fence. It's like one of those big, tall chain link fences with it's like in a construction site. So I don't even know what's back there anymore. But the dudes and trucks aren't messing with it right now. But they finished paving the road, and I'm curious to see if they come back, once everything is done and they paint the lines and they're done with the road. But they all just scattered while the road stuff, the road construction was going on. It was really weird. And I noticed too, hypothetically, if you drive through that area at night, you will see little drones, like the little battery, the little handheld operated little drones flying around, and you can hear them. Like, I might have stopped one day just to, like, because they have little lights on them, and it could be just surveillance, security or something. They'll have 2 or 3 little drones. I don't know who's operating them. You never see anyone, but they're just flying around, just kind of like little bugs just flying around, not in any kind of pattern. They're just going randomly above it. There are usually 2 or 3 of them at night after dark, but you never see a person or anything out there. So I don't know if they're being operated remotely. I don't know, but they each one has a little spotlight on it shining down into the fenced off area, hypothetically. But the dudes and trucks for right now are not there, but they were there for a while. But they're not there now. It's all fenced off. So I don't really know what's going to become of that. But so now that the yard contest is over, I'm hoping everything will die down. They had another idea, hypothetically, of a way to bring people together. We do have an ice cream truck now that goes through the neighborhood, which I guess could get people out. You go out and buy an ice cream or something. It might get you to talk to your neighbors. I don't know if that's something the HOA did or if it's just some random person with an ice cream truck that comes through. I don't really know. And they also talked about doing a movie night. They're going to try to find a spot somewhere, maybe where they're going to do the dog park, like a big open area, and set up a big projector and play a movie like one night a month or something, or a couple of nights a month in warmer weather, and play like a family-friendly movie. But from what I heard, they couldn't agree on which movies to watch. Like, everybody had an objection to every single movie. So since they couldn't agree on any family-friendly movies, there was an objection to all of them, I heard. Hypothetically, theoretically. They just scrapped the whole idea. They just gave up, like, this neighborhood is hopeless. These people are hopeless. Everything we try to do causes problems. We wanted to build a dog park, and then a lady with the emotional support parakeet is hinting at suing us. We try to do this friendly little contest. People end up, damaging and defacing each other's yards. Like, these people are hopeless. There is no bringing these people together. It's just, forget it. It's just not meant to be. We're not going to worry about it anymore. So if I make it onto the HOA board, hypothetically, I need to start thinking of other ideas and ways to bring people together. Maybe we could sit around and have gossip sessions. Maybe that would do it. I'll start. I will lead the gossip sessions. I don't know. Anyway, that is all I have for you today for neighborhood gossip. For your Friday night. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful weekend, and I will see you again soon.